Hey, how's everybody doing? I pray that everybody's doing well. Listen, let's do what we normally do. Let us go in prayer. Father, again, I thank you for another opportunity to present some thought-provoking information that will be informative and beneficial. And I pray as many people has an opportunity to see this video. Again, Lord, I thank you for this platform. This I pray in Jesus' name. Listen, the thing I want to deal with today is the death penalty. And the reason I want to deal with it is because something a former coworker had mentioned to me when I saw her the other day. She asked me why I hadn't done anything in reference to the death sentence that Marcellus Williams got. And I actually thought about it, but I was like, well, I'm not going to really do anything about it, but I decided to go ahead and do something about it. And as many of you may know, Marcellus was executed about a week ago for a murder case that he was convicted for back in 2001, and he spent 24 years on death row. Now, it came out that there was not sufficient evidence for him in the first place to be on death row. And of course, the Governor Parson of Missouri, did not pardon him. And of course, the Attorney General also pushed for his execution, even though St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell stated that there was no sufficient evidence or conclusive evidence that Marcellus Williams was guilty. And of course, there was no available DNA or forensic crime scene evidence to attach him to this murder. And of course, my understanding that even the victim's family did not want him executed. They would prefer that he got life in prison. But of course, the case went to the Missouri Supreme Court. They rejected it. It went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and they rejected it as well. And as a result, Marcellus was executed. And the thing I want to deal with is the fact that why is it that Black men and other minorities are more than likely to get the death penalty? It's a subject that we need to deal with. And that's partially the reason why I'm not for the death penalty. Because if the death penalty was fair across the board, I would probably be for it. But the data shows us that it's not. I'm going to share with you something that I came across. Basically, the color of a defendant's and the victim's skin plays a crucial and acceptable role in deciding who receives the death penalty. Basically, it's not about the crime. It's about who the victim is and who the suspect is will determine who gets the death penalty. In fact, people of color have accounted for a disproportionate 43% of total executions since 1976, and 55% of those currently awaiting execution are Black. A moratorium of the death penalty is necessary to address the blatant prejudice, but unfortunately it's not. And I hope that one day, hopefully Kamala Harris, when she is elected, she will look into this and do something about it, because the fact of the matter is 4 more Black men are being executed and 4 more are on death row. And something else that was said, it said, while white victims account for approximately 1/2 of all murder victims, 80% of all capital cases involve white victims. Furthermore, as of October 2002, 12 people have been executed where the defendant was white and the murder victim Black. Compared with, I want you to get this, 178 Black defendants executed for murders with white victims. So listen, it's clear, family, that if the victim is white and the suspect is Black, chances are they would get the death penalty. That's the main reason I have a problem with it. And we already know that the criminal justice system is not fair. It's no coincidence that most people in prison are African American, while Black people only comprise about 13% of the population. At least 50 to 60% of prison inmates are Black, and a large percentage are on probation and parole. Lady Justice family is not blind. She sees when black men come into the system. And it oftentimes, and what's interesting also, far too many black men are allowed to sit in prison that are innocent, and the system allows them to be there 20, 30 years, and then they let them out. And oftentimes, depending on what state you live in, with no compensation. So, of course, it should not come as any surprise to us why black men are being executed in large numbers. So when I saw on the news that Marcellus Williams' case was coming up, I was thinking, man, if the Lord don't move on these hearts of the governor and the attorney general, and they don't allow the Lord to deal with them, he's going to be executed. And that is exactly what happened. Now, what's also interesting as well, in August 2001, the New Jersey Supreme Court released a report which also found that the state's death penalty law is more likely to proceed against defendants who kill white victims. Now, my question would also be, why isn't suspects that kill black people also getting the death penalty in high numbers? You want to know why? Because our life holds no value in these United States. And for me, that is problematic. And like I said, if the death penalty was instituted fair across the board, I would probably consider it. But family, the fact of the matter is black people get the death penalty in high numbers. In April 2001, researchers from the University of North Carolina Tar Heels released a study of all homicide cases in North Carolina between 1993 and 97. The study found that the odds of getting death sentence increased 3.5 times if the victim was white rather than black. Folks, the data is clear. The data is clear. And unfortunately, you have a lot of right-wing judges, a lot of right-wing prosecuting attorneys, even local attorneys. And folks, that's why it's so important that you get out and vote. Because the president appoints federal judges, and we know he nominates judges for the Supreme Court. Lifetime appointment. But what you really need to be thinking about is these local judges on the state level, city, federal judges. Because these are the ones who are making decisions about the death penalty. And I know a small percentage of our brothers are going to vote for Trump, which I strongly disagree with, but I do understand, and I made a video about it, so I hope you get an opportunity to watch it. Why black men vote for Donald J. Trump. But listen, I want you to also do your own research. I mean, the information is clear. In a case in 2003 Supreme Court case, Miller L. versus Cockrell, the Supreme Court ruled in his favor that Miller L. should have been given the opportunity to prove that his sentence was the result of discriminatory jury practice. Because oftentimes, just like Marcellus Williams, they have one black jurist. And in most cases, there are not enough black people on the jury. And they say it's a jury of your peers. That's a lie from the pit. Most of those juries are predominantly white. So, of course, a lot of the white jurists are going to vote for the death penalty if the victim is white. And my question would be also, so these same white people sit on these juries when the victim is black and the suspect is black, why aren't they getting the death penalty? Value. Now, I would also be interested to know how many white people who kill black victims are getting the death penalty. I will venture to say the number is small. And let me say this. A black suspect that kills a police officer or a white female, and in many cases a white male, it's a wrap. If the Lord doesn't move on the hearts of the juries, the judge, and the prosecutor, it's a wrap. And of course, if they are not receptive to the Lord moving on their heart, it is a wrap. And folks, it's race. It always has been. Always has been. So listen, I just want you to think about that. Now, I must admit, I have seen some heinous cases over the years, and I was like, man, they need the death penalty. Especially if it's clear and convincing that the evidence is clear that that person is guilty of first-degree murder. It should be across the board, regardless of race. But unfortunately, it is not. And we need to be honest. We need to deal with this elephant in the room. Because it tells you right off the bat that people are not getting the death penalty if the victim is black. Why not? I think the families would tell you that their loved ones are hold value or valuable, and they want that person held accountable, and in some cases, maybe the death penalty. But the bottom line is, people are given the death penalty based on their race and who the victim is. And folks, that is racism. That is problematic. And I hope one day that it changes. I hope that Kamala Harris gets an opportunity to get some progressive judges on that Supreme Court. Now, when I read, family, that the case went all the way to the Supreme Court, I was like, it's a wrap. And I know Clarence Thomas was the ringleader, said, And I even remember Governor Parson basically saying, hey, the decision has already been made, regardless of the evidence. And for us folks, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what the evidence is. It doesn't even matter who the witnesses is. If there is a black suspect and the victim is white, in most cases, they're going to get the death penalty. My only problem is, why isn't the death penalty fair across the board? Because white men commit murder as well, but oftentimes they don't get the death penalty. That's problematic. And you would think in the court system would be fair, but it's not. It has never been fair when it comes to African Americans. Because you have justice, and then you have just us, African Americans. But listen, I just want to get her on a few minutes. I want you to think about it, and please do your own research, because the death penalty is rarely discussed until somebody is on death row, and then the person is sentenced to death by lethal injection or whatever the case may be. But I think it's something that we need to examine and be looked at, and why it continues to be executed along racial lines. But listen, please do your own research. We got to deal with this elephant in the room. And please subscribe to the channel. Those of you who have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you will be notified of the next video that I drop. Okay? Also, I want you to also look at some of the videos from my wife and I, Legacy by Reading. There are many videos on there which I think will be a blessing to you. And in the meantime, stay up and informed, but I'm also going to end with prayer, as I normally do. Father, again, I thank you for the opportunity to present some information that would be beneficial. And I pray, Father, that everybody who has an opportunity to see this video would think critically when it comes to the subject of the death penalty. This I pray in Jesus' name. And again, in the meantime, stay up and stay informed. God bless you.